So when we talk about what are the things that a sales person must know when it talks about compliances, so I would summarize it into top three things. The first thing, we are going to talk about science, and we are going to talk about how a particular product that we are marketing may impact their patient positively. So the aim of your communication to a healthcare professional needs to be in these lines only. That is part one. Part two, usually a sales colleague will have an appeal that doctor or the customer, please support us. But that appeal is not in the line of push. That appeal is in the sense where if your patient requires this, these are the advantages that this product may bring in.
Hi everyone, welcome in the first episode of 21-minute Pharma Edge powered by Game of Pharma. And today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Dhaval Mehta, sir. Sir is working as a head of compliance in Emcure Pharma India and work with companies like Lupin, Pfizer, PwC, EY, and many more. Welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you, Lokesh. Good to be here.
Sir, like I just telling my story, like when I was in my pharma grad, at in every class, like every professor says कि pharma is very compliant in nature. So, as a student, like we don't have a subject related with the compliance. That full subject to be related to compliant and all. And same now, I'm in the industry and I'm listening this word on the regular basis. Like it's very compliant in nature. If you are going for the
Yeah.
innovation, you need to take care of many regulatory and the compliance thing. So you are the experts. Just define like what is compliance in the pharma, sir.
Okay. So compliance, any which ways, is a overarching term, and somewhere it includes the A to Z of pharma. And there are different types of compliances. So you mostly people talk about regulatory compliances, drug approval compliances, compliance in clinical trials and studies. Then you have a very important type of compliance, which is on the manufacturing processes, which a lot of people have heard of. They really talk about the most I think golden standards of manufacturing, because what you are making is essentially going to be consumed by a patient. So that is an important side of compliance. And then there is something which is a unique piece, which is known as pharmaceutical marketing compliance. So I am supposedly an expert, or I lead in this space, wherein the interactions between individuals, specifically between the pharma organizations and the HCPs, that is something that has to be looked into, and how ethical these interactions are. So that's the marketing side of compliance. So,
So many of my friends, okay, so after graduation, they entered into the sales kind of job roles. So they entered
mm,
into these roles, and then like companies told them that, yeah, behave like this, go like this, visit, do these kind of things, speak humble. Some of the things they told. But I think most of the time they forgot about these compliance things. So what are the top things that every sales professional keep in mind as a pharma sales professional related with the compliance thing?
all right. So I'll just give you a simple example to it. Okay. So when we look at FMCG, right, we are advertising something directly to the consumers who are going to use the products, or who are going to consume the product. The uniqueness in pharma is that a person, the end consumer of your product, is not consuming it on their own. When we talk about Schedule H products or prescription only products, they do it because it has been recommended by a doctor. So what happens here is that this particular interface that you have, that I have a product that I market, but it will be consumed by a patient who needs that product only by a recommendation of a healthcare professional. So, unlike FMCG, where you can do mass marketing or you can do campaigns which directly target consumers, here you need to ensure that you are not having a push kind of a sale. You're not basically impacting the health of a patient just because you want to increase your sales and coerce or influence the healthcare professionals to start prescribing products that their patients actually do not need. That is the ethical challenge. Okay. Because what happens is that if we get into a push mode, like the other kind of sales that usually occurs in different industries, it may not yield the appropriate result for a patient. Thereby, it may also impact the credibility of the doctors. And because of these kind of marketing practices that are not appreciable, it will also impact the reputation of the pharma company itself. Right. So when we talk about what are the things that a sales person must know when it talks about compliances, so I would summarize it into top three things. The first thing, we are going to talk about science, and we are going to talk about how a particular product that we are marketing may impact their patient positively. So the aim of your communication to a healthcare professional needs to be in these lines only. That is part one. Part two, usually a sales colleague will have an appeal that doctor or the customer, please support us. But that appeal is not in the line of push. That appeal is in the sense where if your patient requires this, these are the advantages that this product may bring in. It may be quality advantages. It may be, say it's a biosimilar or something that is going to give the same impact at a lower cost. So it can be a price advantage as well, or it can be any other peripheral support that we as an organization may provide the consumer. Like you would have heard of some patient support initiatives, right? So this is the second part. And the third thing is about if there is a request coming in from your customer, okay, which may be in any lines, and they may say that, okay, can your company support me in XYZ front? My advice to all the new sales colleagues would be, do not commit before you check. So there would be several policies, and there would also be several individuals like us in enabling functions that would help you, and your managers or your teams that would tell you whether or not any kind of a support. Say maybe a doctor says that, can I have a platform where I need to interact with other doctors on this particular thing that I have experienced? Okay, can I do a case study sharing? So do not commit before you check, because what happens is it is a very human thing not to go back on your words, so that you don't end up doing something incorrect just because you want to honor any of your comments. So these are my top three tips.
So, sir, same as we discussed also, that HCP marketing is crucial for every pharma organization. Okay. And now
Correct.
they are exploring the digital avenues, the digital strategy, omni-channel marketing, same the webinar, same if
Yeah.
some pharma company want to introduce their own podcast, suppose. But there is little bit of fear to exploring this new ways is because of same regulatory requirement and the compliance. So what's your thoughts on this? Like, I just want to know your expertise on this. Yeah.
Sure. So digital is something that, to be honest, a lot of companies have been exploring for quite some time now. And a lot of activities have become pretty standard also on digital. The crucial part here is deciphering whether your activity, okay, I'll give you some checkpoints as to judge whether your activity may be perceived compliant or not as per regulation. So the checkpoints essentially are, A, is it going to give more to the HCP than what you can derive for the organization? What I mean by that is, let's take an example wherein you're giving a platform to an HCP, but at the same time, what you do is you are boosting the healthcare professional's profile using SEO or any kind of investment from your end. Now, this is a direct benefit to the HCP. Now, this is something which is going to put that particular support in a question mark. Okay, because what you are doing is you are essentially driving patient traffic to a healthcare professional. Like, for example, if I were to get an Instagram account and then I'd say, okay, let me get you 1 million followers. Now, this is that would be perceived as a non-compliant transaction. That's part one. Second checkpoint would be the kind of communication. Now, there are two interfaces. One is a doctor-doctor communication. The other is doctor-to-patient communication. All right. So digital essentially gives you an avenue of doing patient awareness at a mass scale. Okay. But at the same time, you have to have a checkpoint that if you're talking about prescription only brands, so the type of branding you do on your digital assets, if it is a patient interface that you are creating, you cannot put in your schedule edge brands as the branding on the screen or in your literature. Why? Because according to Drugs and Cosmetics Act, you cannot actually do a direct promotion of schedule edge or prescription products directly to consumers or patients. So that's another checkpoint that we need to be careful of, because I've seen a lot of companies who design a website which has both a doctor and a patient platform, but then they start branding on the homepage itself, which is incorrect. The product branding should only appear when the doctor has logged into it. So you need to have a demarcation.
God.
The third thing, the third thing I would say is uh, you cannot have, when you look at the applicable standards, there cannot be an endorsement of a brand by a doctor to a patient on a mass scale. I cannot, like in India, it is not allowed where a doctor can come do an ad on OTT or on YouTube or any other platform and say that, hey, come to Dr. Dhaval, treatment guaranteed in 2 days, na to paise wapas. That is not permitted in your country. You may have seen examples that there are certain dailies or some newspapers, some local newspapers where doctor ads have been published. Go back and check the laws. That is not to be done. So what you cannot do on any other print format, you cannot do even on your digital format. So that's another important checkpoint. That there should not be an endorsement of a product which is being communicated to a mass platform. So there are these few checkpoints that anyone who's into digital marketing space should follow. And one more important thing that is upcoming and that's been in the talks for quite some years now is the digital personal data protection bill. Now, this is going to impact virtually everything every organization does on a digital front or on a non-digital front as well across the country, wherein the owner of the information, say me as the consumer, I am willingly sharing some of my information for specific use with the organization. And I can revoke that consent, and the company should also have a mechanism of deleting my personal data. Now, when you look at it in this front, all data, whether it is healthcare professionals or patients, right? They have private data on it, and that personal data needs to be protected. The penalty for that will be with the data fiduciary, meaning the company who's processing that information. So again, when you talk about digital, there is a whole gamut of possibilities it comes across with, but at the same time, there is a whole lot of compliances that we need to really look at with a very different eye and ensure that each activity is essentially going through the filter of all these checkpoints. Some of them, I think I told you about 4, 5 checkpoints, which are extremely important. And if it checks off all of it and it satisfies all the requirements, then that activity can essentially proceed.
Just one doubt, sir. So many pharma professionals, like the brand manager or the
Yeah,
product manager, whenever some launch happens, they just post on LinkedIn with the all events, data, the
nice.
so is it regulated? Is this compliant or like what's the scene?
No, absolutely. I think bang on example, Lokesh, that you've given.
Mm.
I've seen people just take a picture of their email and post it on LinkedIn saying that, "Arey, I got promoted or I got appreciated for this activity." we have to understand that if I cannot do marketing of my brands directly to a patient or a lay individual or an end consumer, I cannot post the photos of my events on LinkedIn or Facebook. I know nobody uses Facebook anymore, but no such channels, because what is going to happen is somebody will construe it as, oh, are you trying to do product communication to patients in the garb of saying, okay, we did an event. So it is not a compliant thing. So a lot of organizations where I've worked with and where I'm also working, we encourage individuals to use social media also responsibly. It is a part of their code of conduct. It is a part of their responsibility as pharma professionals.
With that, I think let's play a short small game in the
Sure.
podcast itself. Yeah, name of the game is Let's Make Innovation Faster. Okay. So in
Okay.
yeah, so in this I will just give you a phrase or a word. Whatever the first word will become in your mind, you can just convey this to our audience.
Sure.
Okay. Indian Pharma.
Getting there, but still far away.
Okay. Gen AI.
Sorry, come again?
Generative AI.
A lot of people claim to know how to use it, but not everybody really knows how to use it. So,
Webinar for pharma.
interesting, cost-effective solution for better communication. So, yeah,
Okay.
cost-effective.
Emcure. Emcure.
Amazing organization.
Okay. Work-life balance.
Yeah, I've been getting it for the last 10 years.
Oh, nice, 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 nice. Thanks, thank you, sir. So yeah, sir. So as a parting thought, what are the three key topics that they should be aware as a pharma professional, respective of like they are from any department, like from R&D, marketing, regulatory affairs, QC, QA, whatever department. But yeah, they should be aware of three topics, at least these three topics.
Right. So I think instead of three, I'll just narrate one. Okay.
Okay,
But it will have three elements
okay,
in it. So, what any pharma professional, whether in whichever space they're working, should be aware of is part A, this side of the line, okay, the guardrail. On a highway, you have two guardrails, right? So you have to stay in the middle. So that's the analogy that I'm using, and it's very close to my heart. The first is this guardrail is the law and regulation. No organization or individual, okay, wants to be on the other side of this guardrail, right? You do not want to essentially be, on the wrong side of law. Then there is the other guardrail, which is the moral guardrail. Your decisions today is not just going to impact your organization or your personal credibility, it is going to impact an end consumer somewhere. Okay. So if you're a manufacturing professional and if there is a quality issue with a batch and you still want to clear it because you don't want to redo, imagine a substandard product is going to be consumed by someone. If you're a marketing professional and you get into a push kind of a mode, imagine an unwanted drug will be taken by a patient who doesn't need it. Okay, very, very important. So this is the moral guardrail, which a book will not teach you. Law, a book will teach you. Moral guardrail, it's your inner values, your core values. Okay, so these are the two guardrails that you will need to be between whenever you are working in the pharma industry. So please do not cross any of these two lines. Whatever your thought process, decision making, or work you are doing, no matter in which space, stay within these limits, and you should be fine. That's my only advice.
thank you so much, sir. I think for this insightful podcast. Thank you for your time, sir.
Sure.
And yeah, let's
Same. Thank you
connect
so
in
much, Lokesh.
another podcast if time permits. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Hopefully, whoever is the listener. To be honest, I think Lokesh, one of the reasons why I agreed to this was I like the idea that you're presenting, and one thought I have always had. Everybody wants to be, kind of famous, right? But not everybody goes down in the history books. So, my advice to you and all your listeners as well, okay, and to everybody who might ever listen to what I'm saying, is it doesn't matter whether you impact a billion lives, a million, or even one life. Okay, so uh, you have to be happy about the work that you are doing, and if you're able to positively impact, even a one individual around you, that should also be something that should give you the same satisfaction as you might get if you were able to influence, say, the entire world. Okay, so don't ever compare, what you've been able to achieve in one life or what somebody else has been able to. As long as today you are better than your yesterday, I think you're doing pretty well. So don't get bogged down by, essentially other successes, or don't get happy with others' failure. Just go on, keep on competing with your own self. And as long as you do better today than you did yesterday, all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.